Okay, it's Gerard here from Artist Rise, and you probably see me in a completely different setup. And that's because in this particular video, I'm literally about to tell you everything you need to know if you really want to succeed. It don't matter where you're at as a visual artist. You could be at absolute zero and you want to make 20,000 per month. Here's what you need to understand to do so. And I think the best way for me to get these points across is for me to actually demonstrate on this whiteboard. So I'll give you some background first. And even before I get to that, if you're a visual artist and you want to learn how to sell your artwork or just learn more about increasing your art career to the levels that you want, I'm going to put a link below where you can just learn more. Now, get into it. I was talking to one of my students, and I like to share the good and the bad. So one of the students I've been working with for roughly about a year, we had a recent conversation. And then in the conversation, one thing he kept stressing, he said, "Hey, Gerard, I just don't think it worked for me. It just feels like it don't work for me." And I said, "Hey, are you saying it don't work or it don't work for you?" He's like, "No, I'm seeing all the success from all the other students. It definitely worked. I just don't think it worked for me." And not X, Y. And then he lists out all these different reasons why it don't work for him. And then it hit me. I'm like, that's the same case with a lot of artists. It's really like these limiting beliefs that's stopping you from succeeding. And I truly believe any artist could be as successful as they possibly want if they're able to change some of these beliefs. But when it comes to changing beliefs, there's a lot of little details that go into it in order for this to really happen and happen effectively. So in this video, I'm going to tell you some of the things I've learned that helped me become successful. And when I say become successful, I grew up in a very poverty-stricken area. Alongside with that, I grew up from one of the worst educational systems in the entire United States, which is Louisiana. I think they're ranked number 2 worst educational system in the whole entire United States. And yet, it's safe to say I was able to find some success. But it's because I ended up making a lot of adjustments. And I'm going to go over these adjustments with you. So I'm going to kind of turn this to the whiteboard. I'm going to kind of get into it. And I'm going to cover the key things. But before I do so, I want you to understand, in order to really succeed, there are many variables. But there are 2 overall concepts I'm going to kind of discuss. And if you can master these concepts, you'll crush it. So the first concept is variable transformation. Variable transformation. So in your life, there's a lot of little variables, and to succeed, all you have to do is change them. Now, it's not easy, but once you're able to understand this, you can start working towards it to change it. And then the second one is time. And then with time, there's also time restriction, which we're going to get into in this video. So I'm going to turn this camera a little bit. Perfect. Hopefully you can see the little smiley face. And then let me adjust it up a little bit. Perfect. Now, by the way, let me know if you like these style videos, like these more direct, very personal, little edited videos. I like them a lot. It allows me to show who I actually am. I don't like the fancy smancy stuff because it's just not who I am as an individual. But let me know if you like this style, and even let me know if you like the whiteboard, because I gotta start bringing out the whiteboard more often, right? So let's say you're a visual artist, right? This is you. And let's say, as a visual artist, you currently making, let's just say $2,400 a year. That means you're currently averaging about, what is that? That's about $200 per month, if I'm not mistaken. So let's say this you. Your monthly income as a visual artist is $200, right? $200. And let's say you have a goal of making $60,000 a year. To get to $60,000 a year, that means you want to go from $200 a month to $5,000 per month. Hopefully the camera is picking this up. Now, to go from $200 per month to $5,000 per month, what a lot of visual artists or just people in general don't understand is that there needs to be some type of transformation within the person. You see, in order for transform this, which is your financial situation, you have to transform this, which is you, right? Because the person that makes 200 per month is not the same person that makes 5,000 per month. The person that makes 5,000 per month is not the same person that makes 20,000 per month. So every time there's an increase in finance, there's usually some variables that have changed in order for that person to align with that increase in finance. So I'm gonna really break this down. This is the real reason I brought this whiteboard. So when a lot of artists meet me, they're usually somewhere around this ballpark, right? It's not as often I meet artists who are making like a lot of money. So with that being said, let's say this is you. This is where you're at. Typically, when an artist is around this ballpark, they have some negatives. And I'm explaining these negatives. So let me just remove this, right? And it will draw a line so we don't confuse the two. All right. So let's say, and I'll even do this. So let's say this is you right now, right? Now, with this being you, let's say in order to be successful, there's many things you need in order for to be successful. Some of those things may be a strong work ethic, right? So you got a strong work ethic. Let's say you also got confidence. Let's say one of those things may be discipline. Another one of those traits to be successful may be consistency. Another one of those traits to be successful is understanding marketing. Let's say another one of those traits is to be good at sales, right? So let's write out some of these traits here. So as I mentioned, we have, let's start with, so that's discipline. Hopefully that's spelled correctly. Then we have work ethic. Then we have what? Discipline, work ethic. Marketing. Selling. What I say, we have discipline, work ethic, marketing, selling. Let's see what we got. Consistency. Along with consistency, let's say we got motivation. And let's say drive. Right? So there's all these variables. So let's say when you do, let's say, examination of yourself, most artists I work with, they lack some of these. So we're gonna put minuses by them. So let's say like little drive. So that's a minus. Let's say you motivated because you took action. So you have little drive, you're motivated, you're not as consistent. You don't know nothing about sales. You don't know nothing about marketing. Let's say you got a little work ethic, but you're just not disciplined, right? So this is usually how it looks for a lot of visual artists. Let me move this. This is usually how it looks for a lot of visual artists when they first meet me. So what happens is they meet me here on this spectrum. And they're like, hey, I want to make 5,000 per month. But the problem is this version of you is not worthy of 5,000 per month. And like I said, it's going to be a very transparent video, so you can like make the necessary adjustments so you can absolutely crush it when it comes to your art career. And that's the goal here, right? So what happens is some people come and they say, hey, Gerard, I want to make 5,000 per month, but I don't want to work really hard. So they probably have a minus here. They say I want to make 5,000 per month, but another one is time. So they say I want to make 5,000 per month, but I don't have the time because I work 2 jobs and have 4 kids, right? So this is usually what it look like. They usually have some plus, but a lot of like minuses, right? So here's the thing. This way it gets very important. Now, this person is still capable of achieving this goal, right? Even if this person wanted to achieve let's say they wanted to achieve 20,000 per month. This person is capable of going from 200 per month to 20,000. I meet artists that say, hey, I don't think it's possible for me to go from 200 to 20,000. Or they say, hey, I noticed you have an artist that's doing 20,000 per month, but you don't mention that that artist was also in galleries in the past. And I'm like, yeah, probably so. But that don't mean that you can't achieve that just because you wasn't in galleries in the past. You can still achieve it. It's just your time frame is a little different and your variables are a little different. So there may be more things you have to work on to achieve that goal other than that other person. I'll give an example. Let's talk about sports. A person that plays, let's say, basketball, right? So a person that's a professional basketball player may be 6'9", so a really tall guy, right? The taller guy most likely have less variables to work on than a shorter guy that, let's say, 6 foot even. Now, does that mean the guy that's 6 foot even is not capable of achieving, let's say, like the success of being a professional basketball player? No, that person is still capable of achieving that. That person just have more variables to adjust, right? That's why we talked about variable transformation. And that's exactly what variable transformation is. You probably have more variables that you have to transform. But does that mean it's not possible? It's still absolutely possible. It just may be a little harder for you, right? It's not as easy. So the person that's in like 5 galleries and already sold works for $10,000 will always have an easier job to get to a certain goal than a person that's done at absolutely zero, never sold art before, because they have more variables. And that's just the way life works. But the good thing is, now that I know that I just need to work on some variables, it becomes really easy to find success, because now I can just start adjusting variables. You see, and let's say you start working on one variable at a time. So when it comes to working on one variable at a time, let's say you start with just time, right? So instead of time, let's say instead of you bring your kids to school, you had your husband to bring the kids to school, or your wife bring the kids to school, right? So let's say you clear up more time. So because you cleared up more time, let's do this. This become a plus. So now you just added the plus to your equation, right? Which is really, really great. You just added the plus to your equation. And let's say when it comes to discipline, usually you kind of scattered all over the place. You don't usually get stuff done. So you start learning how to become more disciplined as an individual. And then as you're studying how to become more disciplined as an individual, you become more disciplined. So let's say now when it comes to discipline, you add another plus. So now you have more time and you're more disciplined and you got the work ethic and you got the motivation. Usually with these things, you're going to start adjusting this, because you're getting better here at these, right? So let's say now, because you made those necessary adjustments, you now here making 2,000 per month. So you went from 200 per month to 2,000 per month. And the way you went from 200 per month to 2,000 per month is because you adjust some of these variables. You became great at some of these variables. And this is the biggest difference from those who succeed and from those who don't. So the key thing I want you to understand, and I'm going to go even deeper into this, but the key thing I want you to understand is that typically to go from, let's say, 200 per month to 2,000 per month, it's not just learning how to sell art, but it's multiple variables that have to be adjusted. To go from 2,000 per month to 10,000 per month is also more variables that needs to be adjusted. You see, the person that makes 20,000 per month as a visual artist have more plus signs than you may have right now if you're making 300 per month. But that's a great thing, because now you know all I need to do is add more plus signs. The things that are a minus for me, I need to turn them into a plus, right? So for example, let's say then you start working on your marketing skills and you get really, really great at marketing, which you're probably already doing if you're watching this video, right? So let's say this become a plus. And then you start really studying hard on how to sell art and become really, really great at sales. The next thing you know, this become a plus, right? So now out of these things, and this is just a list of some of the things, you now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plus signs in your category, in your just overall character. And because now that you have more plus signs, you'll become more worthy of more success. Because once again, the person that only have motivation, right, and work ethic will always achieve less than a person that have motivation, work ethic, marketing skills, sales skills, discipline, and more time. So now this person may make, let's say, $8,000 per month, right? Because they changing these variables. So for example, going back to the artist I was talking to, he was like, this is just not me because I'm not this type of person. I don't like to do this. I don't like to do that. I don't like to do this. And the reality is, at the current time, that may not be that person. But the main point I wanted to get across to that particular artist was that, hey, you could adjust who you are by just changing a few variables, and you could achieve everything you wanted to achieve. But it starts with turning these negatives into positives, and that comes with hard work. So let's say at this point, you here making $8,000 per month. And by the way, this definitely takes time because you have to work on all of these things individually, right? So let's talk about just time frame and very realistically speaking. I'm gonna get into this more in depth, but I just want to give you some idea. Keep in mind, we went from $200 per month to $8,000 per month. This overall may take you 1 year, right? This may take you 1 year. A lot of gurus and experts and whoever you want to call them online that's just trying to sell you something. It's going to say, hey, I could take you from $200 per month to $8,000 per month in 30 days. That's because they're trying to sell you something. And the reason why I'm talking a lot about this now is because I've had a lot of artists schedule calls with me and my team and say, hey, I seen you had an artist go from, let's say, $500 per month to $10,000 per month in 30 days. And yes, it may be true, but what you don't understand that person may have a lot of these variables already. And that person maybe just was missing, let's say, selling and marketing, right? Now, the person that's missing selling and marketing, but they already have consistency, drive, time, discipline, work ethic, motivation, right, is more likely to get there faster. So you have to ask yourself, like, where do you fall? Like, what are the components that you may be missing, right? And that's very, very important. And to fix these components do take time. But if you're really passionate about what you want to achieve in life, which is to be a full-time visual artist and make a living doing what you love, you shouldn't have no problem putting in the time to achieve $8,000 per month, even if it takes 12 months to do so. And by the way, going from $200 per month, which is $2,400 a year, to $8,000 per month. By the way, that's $96,000 in a year. Is absolutely insane. You're talking about making almost $100,000 in the span of a 1 year transformation. People go to school for 4 years to learn how to make $100,000 in a single year. So this is actually an amazing transformation. The problem is the internet is setting unrealistic expectations on visual artists and making you believe it's achievable. But when you don't achieve it, it makes you feel like you're a failure because you set these unrealistic expectations thinking they were real, which is setting you up for failure. And to be honest, there's been a case where artists joining on my training because they seen a lot of artists I work with hitting like these crazy numbers, but they don't know the background of those artists. And the reason I'm making this video is because I want you to be able to understand this so we can really go from $200 per month to $20,000 per month, right? So let's say now you're working on these variables. Eventually, as you continue to work on these variables, these gonna all be plus signs, right? And now once you have time, discipline, work ethic, marketing skills, selling skills, consistency, motivation, and drive, you will most likely get to $20,000 per month. But a lot of artists like, hey, Droy, I want to go from $200 per month, like we talked about, to $20,000 per month. And we're going to talk about time here. So let's box this off. We're going to talk about time, right? And they say, I want to go from $200 per month to $20,000 per month. But they say, hey, I want to go from $200 per month to $20,000 per month in 2 months. So this is the goal. They're like, hey, I want to go from $200 per month to $20,000 per month in 2 months. Can you help me? And the reality is to go from $200 per month to $20,000 per month, there's a lot of things that needs to change in your variable scale, right? So like you have to change all these things. And reality is the more things, and this is just some of the things, right? It could go way deeper than this. We could talk about like mindset and get really in depth when it comes to mindset. When it comes to marketing, it's talking about understanding certain social media platforms and marketing strategies such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. When it comes to selling, it's talking about like how to have a proper sales conversation, how to overcome objections. So a lot of these variables even go deeper than this. And the thing is, to change these variables, it takes time, right? It takes time to get better with time. It takes time to learn how to become disciplined. It takes time to really build work ethic. It takes time to really understand marketing. It takes time to understand how to sell. All of these variables takes time. So the thing is, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get all these variables aligned in no time, 2 months. And it becomes very, 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 very complicated, right? So the thing when it comes to time, you got to understand, once you understand your variables, how much time do it take to transform these variables? And this is very, very important, right? Let's say to get really, 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 really good at marketing, right? Really good and to really study it inside and out, that takes 30 days alone. But you also got to do all the other variables. So this is what I want you to understand. To get to this is extremely, extremely doable. But you got to understand that if I have to erase this version of you, the 200 per month version of you, is not the same version that could get to 20,000 per month. So the thing is, you have to start adjusting this version of you. A lot of visual artists like to say, but this is who I am. I'm introverted. I don't like to work on this much time. I don't like social media. I don't like this and I don't like that. If that's the case, then you just don't want to get to here. But to get to here, we have to adjust. For example, when a student enters a university as a freshman, there's a lot that they don't understand. There's a lot that they have to learn, right? So the student that graduated in 4 years with their degree versus the person they were when they came into college is two completely different people. Usually after those 4 years, that person that's getting a degree is much, 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 much more smarter. They're usually much more disciplined. They really, really learned how to like build work ethic. They're very consistent because they've been applying for 4 years. A lot of these variables have changed. They're usually much more mature. They're making better decisions. And what happens is now that person becomes worthy of that degree. In the case for you as a visual artist, your degree is your financial status as you grow over time. But you have to become worthy to achieve these type of numbers. And this is what's very, very, very important when it comes to succeeding as a visual artist, not just in any space, but obviously we're talking about visual art here, right? So you have to ask yourself, like, who are you today? And by the way, how much you earn is in direct proportion to who you are, right? Not saying if you earn 200 per month, you're not a great person. You could be an absolutely phenomenal person. But a person that earns 200 per month probably know less about marketing and sales than a person that earns 20,000 per month. A person that earns 200 per month probably don't work as hard as the person that earns 20,000 per month. Or the person may work harder than a person that earns 20,000 per month, but the person that earns 20,000 per month is far more advanced at marketing and sales. So you have to think about your art career in a space where it's like, okay, if this is where I'm at, who do I need to become to achieve this? So as I was talking to the artist, he's like, hey, I don't think it's for me because of who I am not. And I'm like, today, yes, it may not be. But the question is, who do you need to become to be deserving of that? So here's what I want you to do. As a visual artist, I want you to be very transparent with yourself. And you could keep this to yourself in your sketchbook, whatever you may have. What I want you to do is sit down and write out all the variables that you're not great in, that's potentially holding you back from achieving your financial goal. And you have to be very honest with yourself. A lot of artists are just not honest with themselves. If you want to know how much you earn as a visual artist right now, be very transparent and ask yourself, how much did you make over the last 3 months? don't guesstimate it. When it comes to art sales, go look in your bank account and see how much have you made over the last 3 months. How much did you make this month, the month before, and the month before that? Add all those numbers up and then divide them by 3. And that's going to give you your average for how much you earn in the last 3 months. Once you understand how much you earned in the last 3 months, on average per month, ask yourself how much do you want to earn, let's say on average for 2025. Right? And then write out all the things you need that you may be missing to achieve the amount you want to earn. Are you extremely disciplined? Do you have a very, very high work ethic? And by the way, painting for 10 hours a day doesn't mean you have a high work ethic. If you're doing something you really enjoy and love, when you do a lot of it, isn't equivalent to you working extremely hard. Because you're doing what you love. You're going to do it either way because it's your passion, it's your hobby. That's like saying, I love to go ride motorcycles. So because I ride motorcycles for 8 hours, and yes, it could be a profession, it doesn't mean I'm working really hard. I'm just doing what I love. So painting does not count to you working really hard because you're going to paint whether you make sales or not because it's what you're passionate about. So I'm talking like actual work ethic, doing the hard stuff, the not so fun stuff, right? So basically make a list of all the things you need to put in place, right? Here are some of those things. Do it goes way farther than that? Yes. Professionalism of artwork could be added to that list, right? The size of your work could be added to that list, right? Focus could be added to that list. So you want to make a list of all of these things that are like negatives, and then you want to start working one by one to turn those into positives. It's that simple. If I have to focus on an order to turn these things into positives, the first thing I will focus on, if I'm being quite frank, is marketing and sales. Because even if you could be lazy as shit, if I'm being honest. But if you're not a marketing sale, you're working every time you post, you're getting some virality. You could turn 200 per month to 1,000. You could turn 200 per month to like 4,000, even if you lazy and you just want to paint all day and you don't care about much, right? But then once you get marketing and sales in place, let's say you're making just off of marketing and sales, you probably could, let's say you go to 4,000, right? So you're making 4,000 per month just from marketing and sales. You got these two in the bag. So we got marketing and sales in the bag. We great at it, making 4,000 per month, right? Now it's just putting these other variables into place to start increasing this number, right? And by the way, even when you put all variables into place, you will get better at each one of these variables. So let's say you're good at marketing now, you're making 4,000, but you can become 10 times better at marketing. That's going to get you to, let's say, 12,000. So now it's like this. Now you got 3 pluses here because you're extremely good at marketing, right? So these things can always get better over time. And that's why I still educate myself and get into trainings and masterminds and stuff like that still to this day, because I'm always trying to get better and better and better over time. But this is literally the hack to success. Like literally you could become whoever you want as long as you understand which variables you need to change. Like whoever you want. You just have to change those variables. And it takes time. Time is important when it comes to changing these variables because it don't happen overnight. But if you're extremely passionate about what you do, you could literally change your entire life in 12 months. This is the perfect time for you to be seeing this video. Change your entire life in 12 months. Start investing into your education and your mindset and your growth and your health. Because it's the most rewarding investments you will ever make. Invest like crazy into your education. I see artists spend $1,000 on art supplies, got everything they ever wanted. They so happy, dance around the house, and it was all of us, right? We love buying art supplies, getting new stuff, right? It feels freaking phenomenal. But imagine if you spent that $1,000 on education. You don't have as many art supplies as you once could have had. But because you learned how to sell your artwork, you made, let's just say, 4 sales. And now that $1,000 on education turned into 4 sales for $1,000 each. And now you made 4,000. That's an investment. That's a real investment. That's a return on your investment. So now the $1,000 you spent on education that turned to 4,000 in art sales, you can now take 1,000 out of that 4,000 and go buy all the art supplies you want. And now you also have 3,000 to put in your savings. And this is how you like really once again change your entire situation as a visual artist. And I'm going to be doing more videos like this. Let me know if you like when I bring out the whiteboard. I feel like it's a little sloppy, but if it gets the point across, it works. So once again, let me know if you like this video. I can start doing more videos like this so you can actually see. So I know I'm a very visual learner myself. And with that being said, like I said, if you want to join and learn more about what it looked like to work with me inside and out, I'll put a link below. See you in the next training.